The roadside outside Asmara, we chance upon a scene that has not been prepared by our minders from the ministry.
Be careful. Do you have a crowbar?
No, push with your hands. Come on, push.
Boss, they're asking what we're doing here.
Hello, how are you? This is a document from the Information Ministry. They're guests from France. They're shooting a documentary to see what the government's policies are.
It's a voluntary service. They're not paid. The roads belong to the people. It's their decision to be here.
But the rock breakers tell us another story.
Who is paying you?
We haven't any more money to pay. We haven't any more money. These people, nothing. We are soldiers. All of us, all of our military service. All of us.
I explained to them we are doing our national service.
Be brave, don't worry. Say what you have to say.
I told them our supervisor is over there and they can talk to him.
Just say that. No more. You've been brave.
He asked me how long we work for. I said 3-4 hours a day.
There's no limit. We're not paid. They don't give us anything. It's the military service.
Just as we are about to leave, the old worker has a request.
I want something. I'm a poor man. I haven't any man to help me. I can write, I can read. Please help me with that one.
For more, we're joined by Léonard Vincent, who covers the Horn of Africa for sister station Radio France International. Your book, The Eritreans, out in French in paperback. Now, we saw in that excerpt, these are soldiers, in effect, doing this.
Yes, and they've been soldiers for years, I mean, and they don't know when they will be demobilized, and that's the whole point of this national service. You enter the army at the age of 17, at the last year of your high school, and then you graduate in a way, and those who have good grades go to technical schools and eventually can enter ministries or services or even serve in cafes. The poorest, which are probably the ones we've seen, go and build roads and dams or whatever the Ministry of Defense wants them to do.
This is a country that gained its independence from Ethiopia in 1991. There's always been this sort of permanent state of war or war readiness ever since.
Well, it's been really terrible since 2000. Between 1998 and 2000, Ethiopia and Eritrea went at war. There's an estimation that around 80,000 youths died on the battlefield during these 2 years. It was really dreadful. It was like the First World War in Africa, really. And the regime in Eritrea, after a peace treaty was signed, really turned paranoid because inside the party there were reformists asking for openness and denouncing the dictatorial mindset of the president, Isaias Afwerki. And in 2001, when everybody was looking at New York and Washington, in 18 September 2001, the president and his close allies decided to arrest everybody, all the reformists, to close down the private press. And the regime went from bad to worse from there. And so the situation is really deteriorating year by year. And that's why we see so many Eritreans coming to Europe.
All right. And that feeling of this sort of paranoia, the feeling of always looking at what's going on in Ethiopia. Our team felt it in the capital. We're going to show you another excerpt from that report, this time in Asmara.
Young Eritreans who have not fled stay connected to the diaspora through the internet. They use Wi-Fi outside and inside internet cafes. But the network is desperately slow. For once, we can film without our minders. These young girls tell us what they think about Ethiopians.
We have so much similarities and stuff. We, as the youngest people in Eritrea, have nothing against Ethiopians. So does the Ethiopians. So we just all want peace, and we just want peace. That's all.
National service can be carried out in the army, but most of the time it means working as a secretary or in a shop.
We accept that we have to do something for our country, and we're gonna get something back too.
Some reward back to us for defending our country.
And it's all for good, so it's good for us.
But when we don't say we're filming, Eritreans, like our taxi driver that evening, deliver a damning verdict on the national service.
How many years do you stay as a military?
Military?
How many years?
Unknown time. That's the problem. That's why many Eritreans go to another country for Italy, somewhere. I don't want the national service because I'm 10 years old in national service, not finished. Huh? I'm hide from police. I'm working in the night time in taxi, in the daytime in my home sleep.
So why don't you try and leave Eritrea?
Because the border is very, by the soldier is some problem. Because when I was go out from Sudan or Ethiopia, I need some money. Because of money problem. $5,000 to enter to Sudan. $3,000 to Ethiopia.
Léonard Vincent, it costs money to leave the country, so I can only presume that the ones that are coming here are the rich ones, to a certain degree.
Well, they are the ones who found the money, and there is a pretty large diaspora, and those who want to leave the country usually ask for people who have already fled and who are in Europe or in the US. And there is a sort of a collective solidarity, and people manage to get $100, $200 one by one. And for years, they gather that money and finally send it to Eritrea to help the youth flee. But then it's not only $3,000 to go to Ethiopia. Then you have to pay money from Ethiopia to go to Sudan, eventually to go to Libya or then to Egypt. I mean, the route is extremely long and extremely dangerous.
After that record influx of refugees in 2015, what's been Europe's reaction to the situation in Eritrea? Are they putting pressure on the government? Are things changing?
Well, they're trying something. Now, in my view, my opinion is that it's bound to fail, and the failure is starting to show now because first they're trying to talk to the Eritrean government and to engage with them. First, the promise made by the Eritrean government was to reduce the national service to 18 months. That was a promise made, you know, face-to-face with European diplomats. And a few weeks ago, they announced that they were not going to do that. Then they said there was going to be a pay rise. That didn't happen either. These people have a habit of not keeping their promise. You know, they are lying to the international community. That's why it's very hard to handle this government. Now, Europe is trying to convince the Eritrean government that by letting European aid coming in and building a private sector, developing the economy, it will help the youth get a perspective and hope to stay inside the country. Now, hope plus political oppression will not succeed in reducing the flux of migrants, obviously.
Won't help in reducing the influx of the migrants, and yet they're still coming. And the irony, and we see it in that report, is that Eritrea is this beautiful country that has everything to offer.
Yes, it's not only a beautiful country with a really extremely beautiful capital, Asmara, which was built by the Italians in the 20s and 30s. It's also very, very moving people, quite attached emotionally to their country. They're all very patriotic. And you see that these youth in one extremely poor country, isolated country in Africa, speak pretty well English. They know how to read and to write, and they want to engage with the world. So, I mean, the most important asset of the Eritrea, the modern Eritrea, is the youth and the people of Eritrea. And that's why it's so heart-wrenching to see that this country is year after year emptying itself from its vigor.